If you own a property in Carlsbad, Encinitas, San Marcos, or anywhere in North County, San Diego, where we manage properties, you might have wondered, do any of these cities have, rent control laws? Well, good question. California has statewide laws under AB 1482, but local laws can actually go even further in some cities. So let's break down what you need to know city by city. So let's go through the North County cities. So just to help you stay compliant and avoid any possible mistakes. But let's start with the basics. AB 1482 is the statewide rent control law passed in 2019, and it applies to most apartment buildings that are at least 15 years old. And it limits rent increases to 5% plus CPI or 10% maximum per year, whichever is lower. So it also requires just cause for eviction after the tenant has lived in their property for 12 months. But single-family homes and condos are exempt from the AB 1482, which is mostly what we manage in North County. And you're exempt if the owner is an individual or trust and provides the right exemption notice in the lease, which we do in all of our leases. That exemption is very important. If it's not in writing, not in the lease, then the cap applies even if you own a condo. So what about local rent control in North County? So we'll start out with Oceanside. Oceanside, there's no rent control for apartments or houses right now, but the city does have a mobile home rent control ordinance, and they're actually considering stronger rent control measures, which could mean possibly in the future rent caps or relocation fees for no-fault evictions. So if you own a property in Oceanside, then you might want to monitor the city council updates there. San Marcos, there's no rent control for regular rentals in San Marcos. But like Oceanside, they do regulate mobile home parks through a rent review commission. Otherwise, it's just AB 1482 covers, most multifamily units, and exemption rules apply to the single family homes and condos. Vista, there's no rent control in Vista. The city follows the state AB 1482 without adding anything extra. So if you own a qualifying property and follow notice rules, you can just raise rent legally within the state limits. Then Encinitas and Carlsbad, there's no local rent control or additional tenant protections at this time in Encinitas or Carlsbad. Just the state rules under AB 1482. But keep in mind, even if your city has no added restrictions, that your notices, they must be accurate, and the timelines for those notices, they must be followed, or the increase could actually be invalid. And also, importantly, just don't forget to check if we're in a statewide state of emergency before you actually raise rent, and more than 10%. If you're under 10%, then you don't have to worry about being in a statewide state of emergency. But the bottom line is, in North County, San Diego, local rent control is limited for now, but AB 1482 still applies to a lot of properties, and mistakes and notices or timing can be a problem if not followed correctly. So at Raintree Property Management, we stay up to date on both the local and the statewide laws, and this is my full-time job, and it does take even a full-time job a lot of my time, but we make sure that our clients raise rent legally and avoid the legal traps that trap DIY landlords. So if you have questions about whether your property is exempt from AB 1482 or how to structure your next rent increase, then just reach out. We're happy to help. Another way to connect with us is just click the link and ask for a free rental analysis, and that's a good way to start a conversation as well.